welcome back to another Just 5 Minutes. Okay, hope you're okay out there in the internet world. Um, so what have we got this time around in 5 minutes? Aha. We've got Retool. Okay, well, it started. I looked at this a couple of years ago, probably little bit longer. It's one of these sort of app builder type things that you see. There's Bubble.io and there's so and so and this and that, and there's loads of these um, builder apps. But the Retool kept coming back because there was first of all, it was pretty straightforward to get into, and it had a lot of good features really for building UIs and essentially sort of like internal software for a company. Although I doubt, if you really needed to, it'll be interesting to find out actually if you can have it, public facing as well. But certainly for building those internal apps that businesses would use, and there's a lot of those, of course. But anyway, I found it was really easy to build forms of varying complexity. You've got things like linked drop down lists and all those things, as well as lots of other stuff. But also the fact that it's got the data storage and things like that. So it was great even back a couple of years ago or whenever it was that I looked at it. And the other thing is that there is a generous sort of free version that Retool can host, or you can self-host, which I found exceptionally an exceptionally good proposition. And essentially, I'm running it as a Docker container. So you can run that wherever you want to run it in your own environment or in your own cloud environment, but it's still in your environment, as it were. So you can do that. There's an enterprise option where you can white label it. So rather than pay goodness knows what to custom build this type of application, you can buy it as a white label. But anyway, the interesting thing, I did do a podcast episode ages ago, like I mentioned, but it has come along, and they've got some fairly big hitting customers as well. But there's always been building apps. Okay, so internal sort of based apps, line of business type stuff. Okay, and it's really nice. It's got, you can now they've got loads of different integrations with things, but also what they've got, actually, I don't know when this came out. Actually, I should keep a little bit more on top of this stuff. But they do have you can build a scalable, fully managed PostgreSQL database. And again, this can all run in your environment, or you could run it in their hosted environment. Okay, so but this is literally hands off, set up with using Postgres, which is an amazing database in itself, which I've got a podcast about. But let's face it, if you know about Postgres, there's no point me saying how good it is, because it is. Not to mention the fact that it's got all that lovely pub sub type of mechanism built in and goodness knows what. But anyway, that's a topic for another day, isn't it? But the apps allow you to now build in with an internal database, but also with that Postgres type stuff. So you can have SQL statements if you want to. You don't have to. It will build them for you. But you can, if you know SQL, for instance, you can go and build that stuff. So it's a really solid platform. Of course, because it's a Postgres SQL database, you can back that up, separately and all that sort of stuff. And, but it's also got a really nice workflow tool now, which again, I think they had something like it when I first started to look at it a while ago, but now you've got triggers, you've then got all the stuff that you can do when somebody enters this form. It'll do this, it'll do that. And in my line of work with some integration software, disclaimer, I work for codeless platforms that use a product, they develop a product called BPA, business process application. And of course, this Retool could tie into that to actually, once somebody's done something in a form, etc., it can go and execute processes, tasks, It could do that with Zapier and other stuff. There's so much integration. It's incredible, actually, what they've built over the years. And an interesting story, I think it's a UK-based outfit originally. Not that that matters, uh, but I think they started off actually with something completely different, and I've forgotten way, way, way back. They started off a completely different business, but they'd built, as I understand, they'd built Retool for their own use internally. Um, and I think what happened then, they went through, I think, an amazing pivot that they ended up a bit like Twitter. Twitter came out of a completely different company and product, didn't it? And was done as a sideline sort of thing. And the same thing for Retool. It was, developed as oh, we need this in our internal setup. And then obviously that became the predominant thing, and it's become very successful. So yeah, like I say, it's got a free version. It's got self-hosting capabilities, so you can run in your own environment. There's enterprise white label, but the when you delve into it, just what you've got available at your fingertips to build, I think is far better than a lot of stuff that's out there. And you've got control over it. That's the key bit. You're not relying on something being hosted in the cloud that may or may not go away. You can run it locally, as I say. So that's what I've got for this time around. We've definitely gone over 5 minutes as usual, but there we go. I'll put some links below, and have a good rest of the weekend, or whatever it is that you're going to be doing. So take care until the next time, and we will catch you on the next one.